Snub to the rockets. For the love of the chopsticks. Ran up from the plug, then I pop shit. Faced with immeasurable odds. Some of you niggas found pleasure in God. Measuring rod, they treasure their jobs. Athletic build, moving with purpose. Casting a magnetic field, moving with serpents. To my brokers, a stroker. Al Roker, couldn't predict the storms to follow, the pond to follow. Same a tree, that fall for Rollo. We made it rain when we burnt money. Bentley truck, interior, burnt honey. Anyway, I take respect over riches any day. I take neck from the bitches any day. Penny weight, that's a neck full of riches any straight. Shifting through paradigms, the color of Geechee Dan. Drifting through the paralines, color in the Geechee land. Time will tell. We move around the 33rd parallels, like Coney Island carousels. Fell asleep at Roswell, woke up in Cozumel. Pyramid hopping, chariot shopping. Number one seller, author of conscious fiction. Composition, confidence driven. Continent drifting, a walking contradiction with a contradiction. Brooms and mops, mystic clean. We conquered the kitchen, facts and fiction. Contrary to popular predictions, red pill, popping your prescriptions, stopping your addictions. Yeah, bitchin' with the hoes, black magic. Yeah, bitchin' with the zoes. Anything goes. Cooking in Brooklyn, cocaine and push. New strains of the kush, we call that Hussein in the bush. We from different lands, our DNA, different strands, different strains.
All right. There you have it, family. Bill Bixby. You can find that on all streaming networks. You could even find it on YouTube. Put it in YouTube. It's on YouTube Music. Bill Bixby, Red Pillar. Make sure you put Pillar, Red Pillar, so you could go ahead and get that music. You dig? Let me get this roll call. Love and light to the families that is in the that's in the building. Let me get a roll call. Atlantic City, Ching Ching. First person in the building is Atlantic City. This is Big Billy talk tonight. You dig? know I'm talking about? Atlanta in the building. ATL in the building. 804 Richmond, Virginia's for lovers. VA's in the building. Sacktown is in the building. Tennessee, Boston, Maryland, Leesburg, Virginia. The Caribbean is in the building. Salute to KT, the arch degree on St. Croix right now. Brooklyn is in the building. BK, stand up. Marcy, stand up. Bed-Stuy, Nostrand Ave, stand. Detroit is in the building. West Phoenix is in the building. 602, salute. Riverside, California is in the building. Peace and love to the family on Riverside. Norfolk, Virginia. Peace and love to Norfolk, Virginia. Shout out to everybody in Virginia Beach. All right. Salute to everybody in Virginia Beach. Milwaukee in the building. Atlanta's in the building. 302. Big Mansa Musa, a.k.a. Hove Billionaire, baby. Neptunes is in, Sacktown is in the building. Chi-Town is in the building. South Jamaica, Queens is in the building. Talk black to me. Chicago is in the building. Salute to Chicago. All right. Canada is in the building. Maryland, Gaithersburg, Maryland. You're in the building. Okay. Staten Island is in the building. Empress B444 is in the building. Make sure y'all give Empress B444 a shout out. She is in the building. All right. We are here. We are here. Jersey City's here in the building. Salute to Jersey City. Salute to Houston, Texas. We will see you on Sunday, June 9th. Professor Griff, Red Pill and Blue Pill. The Fear of a Black Planet. The Fear of a Black Billionaire. Billy. The Fear of a Black Planet 2 at the Shape Center. Monumental history will be made January 9th. Please be in the building. If you're not in the building, please be on the live stream. Talk black to me. Go to go to Fear of a Black Planet 2 Eventbrite. Fear of a Black Planet. Hold on, let me put it in the thing so I could pull it up. But it's on Eventbrite. All right. So y'all could go ahead and get your tickets. And I need y'all to be there. Fear of a Black Planet dot eventbrite dot com. Let's see. All right, it's not coming up right away. I'll look for it during the show. But yeah, that's gonna be lit. That's gonna be super lit. So tell a friend to tell a friend. We will be in the building. Shout out to Boss for that cash app. We will be in the building in Houston. Houston, we don't got a problem. Houston, we got an answer. You know what I'm talking about? The information that we about to flood Houston with is gonna be on Harvey levels. We bringing that. We dumping some. I got that water. I got that water. We got that water. You know what I'm saying? This information age, my genius. We got that water. Blue Pill will have the soul gold water in the building though. He'll have that liquid gold, but we got that water though. Quench your thirst. You know what I mean? People are always thirsting for a good drink, a clean glass of water. And we're gonna give that to you on the 9th of June, but we're also gonna give that to you tonight. So I know it's kind of late on the East Coast. Y'all good on the West Coast. But we're gonna chop up some cloth. You know what I'm talking about? We're gonna sacrifice a chinchilla tonight. We're gonna chop up some game. This is some boss talk tonight. So if you're in any kind of feelings whatsoever and you don't feel like a boss and you don't feel like talking cloth and you don't feel like lambasting in some broth, you feel me? And you want to complain about some shit or you want to be, put in a fearful state, you want somebody to activate that chicken that you ate tonight, oh my friend, you might be on the wrong channel. It might be time for you to get on your surfboard and go surfing the web. Because that's not what we're going to be talking about tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking about victory. Tonight, we're going to be talking some victorious shit. You feel me? Tonight, we're going to talk as if we were in the barbershop. But then we're also going to talk like as if we're in a lecture hall. So we'll balance out the two. Okay? Tonight's episode is prefaced American Gods. This show is a primer, as will be other shows, to the June 22nd live stream that we'll be doing entitled American Gods. And you know the way that the great divine speaks in signs, you know the universe that's conspiring for your success. They always throwing you these alley-oops. That's how the universe works. They're so conniving. So I go on my YouTube, no, I go on my smartphone today and I open it up and voila, I see an article that says, guess what, guys? On the 45th year of hip hop in its inception, we finally produced ourselves our first billionaire. This is a milestone. Our first Billy Goat. This is a day that people are going to overlook because of their poverty minded consciousness or for some personal reasons that they have against Jay-Z, putting them in the Illuminati or making them sell crack when they were impressionable and young. Right? They're going to miss the whole point of this. That the culture at 45 was a delinquent, and it was seen as a completely, financially, it was seen as a failure. Okay, 45 years of $1 trillion culture failed to produce one amongst it who came from it, looked like it, walked like it, and talked like it, and it failed to produce a billionaire from that culture in 45 years. I need you to understand that this is something that needs to be analyzed. And the fact that the land that today makes that milestone where they crowned one of hip hop's very own, the first billionaire inside the culture, I was like, well, God damn it. It can't get no more American God than this. You understand? And some people would be like, Astaghfirullah, Red Pill. We're still in Ramadan. How dare you say anything about God and Jay-Z in the same sentence? Have we lost you too to the Illuminati, Red Pill? Is it all over for you guys? And I would say this. When I'm speaking about the title of American Gods, the name of my lecture, American Gods, and what it is that we'll be explaining in the lecture, American Gods, first and foremost, has nothing whatsoever to do with the quote unquote Illuminati, who you niggas had their addresses for mad years and never sent the Uber, right? We won't be talking about Illuminati. We won't be talking about some mystery white people who you guys love to give all of the power to. We won't deal with that. In American Gods, we're dealing with the mythology, we're dealing with Americana, and we're dealing with hip hop. Okay? And we're juxtaposing all of those together and we're giving you a plate. So in the in the pretense or in the mythos of American Gods from the aspect or from the angle in which I'm teaching it, I'm speaking about the fact that in these modern day times, okay, in these modern day times while we're all witnessing and we're all living and we're all breathing and we're all here at the same time, you're seeing man go from an American descendant. I'm a descendant. An American descendant of a slave, right? And there's different steps that we have taken in the culture. There's different steps that we've taken as a people. There's different steps that we've taken on what is known as the hero's journey. But I'm going to call out and identify this specific journey because this specific journey is an American journey. And remember, we're on the 400th year of this quote unquote journey that they have assigned us in the wilderness of North American when we came as an American descendant or an African descendant of a slave or this is what people have termed it. Okay? But I'm of the understanding that the original slave is the Slav. Okay? And a Slav does not look like us. They don't walk like us. They don't talk like us. It's not our gods. We don't have the same gods. They have Nordic gods, Odin, Loki, and people like that. Thor. That's not our gods. We have a special set of American gods. Okay? But we live in these modern day times in 2019 on the cusp of 2020 where all of that is juxtaposed in one hodgepodge and everything has come together, okay? So the old gods, the new gods, the hip hop gods, there are hip hop gods walking the planet. You can hate you whether you agree with me or not. This is not about I'm not trying to recruit you into my train of thought or anything. I'm just letting you know that this culture entitled hip hop is very influential, powerful, uh, you know, it has the potential to do so much more than what it has already done. Okay? It's also very dark. It's also very destructive. It's also very, it's been weaponized. We're talking about dualities. Remember, we live in a dualistic world. We live in a dual reality. This is called dualism, binary code. Okay? Binary code. This is the reality that we have incarnated in. So you have binary duality and dualism that takes place every single day. And as we explained before, in black people or melanated people who are descendants of these quote unquote prisoners of war, misnomer slaves, we suffer from what is known as double consciousness. So we even have a binary bipolarism within our culture or within us, because we struggle with identifying who we are in the hood, or who we are amongst each other, or who we are around our tribe, and then who we are around Europeans, or who we are in what you have also deemed dominant culture, right? Those are two different personalities. Those are two different expressions. It's what W.E.B.D. Du Bois entitled double consciousness and also two-ness. And the movie Us even explored that when they were dealing with Red, and they were also dealing with her doppelganger. Okay? So people have this double persona. People have Sean Carter, Jay-Z syndrome. Okay? People have Bruce Bixby or David Banner, Incredible Hulk syndrome. Whereas you exist as your David Banner, your Bruce Banner persona, right? But inside of you, you have a monster. Inside of you, you have something that is raging, and it will come to the surface if provoked. Okay? Some people have to go through therapy. Some people have to subdue that monster. Some people have to, but some people they lose control of the subduing of said monster, and they turn green. The reason why Bill Bixby is the best Hulk, the best Incredible Hulk ever, or the best David Banner, is when his eyes turned green and the fucking song came on. Do you remember that? The young whippersnappers understand nothing what I'm saying. It's so good. It's okay. You'll find out one day. But you old heads know what I'm talking about. When his eyes turn green, yeah, nigga, you gonna. Told Mr. McGee, don't make me angry. Good looking Jarvis. You don't want to see you. And what he told Mr. McGee? He told him, don't make him mad, nigga. Do not make me angry. You don't want to see me when I'm angry. You know? So we've seen American descendants of slaves turn into American gangsters. Rest in peace, Frank Lucas. You won't like me when I'm angry. Remember, you won't, thank you. You won't like me when I'm angry. That's an iconic line. That shit is attached to our childhood. Okay? We was in the streets turning green. And then we got our eyes on that green. Mr. Sean Carter made our eyes green. You understand? Mr. Sean Carter, along with Christopher Wallace, along with Sean Combs. You know what I'm saying? They turned our brown eyes green. They made us focus on that paper. They made us focus on that fiat. They made us focus on the money. They made us focus on the riches. They made us focus on the millies. Then they make us focus on the billies. That's a fact. This is 100 monkey theory. I don't understand. I don't think you niggas understand what this is. I don't think you understand how black Bed-Stuy, black America, black New York, black LA, like we this shit is a train. It's 100 monkey theory. It's the same way that a nigga hopped in a 600. It was Little and Ryan off of Franklin Ave. That's an urban fact. Put that in the niggapedia. You understand me? Little and Ryan off of Franklin Ave was the first ones to come through with the 600 bins. Biggie and them was rapping about it, but nobody ever had a 600 bins for real, for real. They did a diamond heist and they hopped in, they popped up with a 600 bins. After that, a year later, it was 600 Benzes in Brooklyn. That's what we do. You understand? We replicate. We practice the 100 monkey theory. If G is a billionaire, this nigga's not far behind him. Facts. Like, it's called inspiration. But we've evolved from American descendants, and then in our evolution, and I'm speaking about, if you track our history, this is some of the projection that we begin to take. American gods. We went from the American slave, the American, the man who was held down, the man who was subjugated, man who was basically limited, the god who was put to sleep, the Hiram Abiff who was knocked over, took his religion from him. They stripped him of his culture. They stripped him of everything. They raped him. They stripped him of his dignity. They broke his manhood. They had buck farms, buck breaking farms where other black men were black devils were sabotaging black gods and black goddesses because we can't leave them out of this as well. You understand? It takes two to make to you know what I mean? If life is chess, my nigga, it takes a king and a queen to complete the board. So we went into America gangsterism. An underworld began to evolve. An underworld began to develop. There was an underworld even during times of slavery. Okay, this underworld has always been with us because we always have our shadow selves. So there's always going to be an undergirding of an underworld, and it doesn't escape any nationality because they all have it. Okay. The Irish utilize their underworld. The Italians utilize their underworld. The Jews utilize their underworld. And the Romans utilize their underworld. The priesthoods and Kemet utilize their underworld. The Moors utilize. The Ottomans utilize. Everybody utilizes that underworld element. It exists and it shows up everywhere that you, if you know, not everywhere, but mostly wherever you study, wherever you go, and wherever you visit. You niggas like hopping on planes and going places. Chances are there's an operational undergirding of that society where things are being done on the unseen, and that is the underworld. And it's very volatile. It's very chaotic. It's chaos magic. It's, you know what I'm talking about? On black. It's very chaotic. Uh, People are flirting with death, but it's awfully exciting. It's energetic. It's magnetic. It's full of riches and treasures, but you're playing Russian roulette and you're flirting with death. But in that quest, you could go ahead and you could bring up a lot of, you could come up from the underworld with a lot of riches. And then you have those who walk through that underworld in order to make it to that ring of light, in order to make it to that other side, or what they call the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, or the proverbial butterfly growing out of the cocoon state. The cocoon state is the dark phase. A lot of people who have become what you call famous, or a lot of people who are in the public's eye with stories of redemption, those stories of redemptions are awfully familiar when you really sit down and look at it. These are stories where people were at their bottom, they're at that rock bottom. Some even died and came back. You understand? Some people died. They killed their ego, or they died 1,000 deaths, or they experienced mega loss. You understand? Or they experienced the loss of a loved one, or they hit rock bottom so hard they was like, there's nowhere else to go but up. You understand? And these people has persevered, and they've risen up. It is, and they've become better, not just better citizens, but these people have become better human beings. It is the proverbial swinging of the pendulum. So case in point, you have an individual by the name of Sean Carter, Jay-Z. He starts out as a crack rapper. Did he sell crack to your son? No. Did he sell crack to your daughter? I don't think so. You know what I'm talking about? He was a crack rapper in the 90s who decided to hop on the crack wave that was started by a few other mixtape and nightclub tunnel era rappers. Biggie, even a few people out of the Wu was kicking some shit about moving some things. Nas Escobar was talking about moving some things, and it was a whole bunch of people that was talking about moving some things. And if they wasn't talking about moving some things, they was talking about getting the gat, sticking niggas up that was moving them things. That the Wu was known out. They was known for being the jump out boys, hopping out of MPVs and whatnot. Those was the robbers. Those were the jack boys. Those were the you know what I mean. Those were the niggas hopping out with the ghost face killers. But Biggie and them, through the bad boy era, they begin to represent not just the hand-to-hand hustler. They begin to paint that picture of the Willie, the sacred Willie, the big Buddha in the hood, the big boss, the plug. You know what I'm talking about? The capo, El Chapo. You know, the big homie. And then that was adapted by Jay-Z and the persona of Jay-Z through Rockefeller, okay, through Dame Dash, who was a hustler from Harlem, Biggs, and Sean Carter out of Brooklyn, who wasn't necessarily a Big Willie. And that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? Do your fact checking. They're gonna, when they do the VH1 movie, the shit might get polished over, but you know, there's a lot of people getting money back in those days, and they were getting the kind of money to whereas everybody from Brooklyn know what I'm talking about. You can make 30,000 look like 300 million. You know what I'm talking about? Shit, you could make 30,000 look like you nigga you hit, or you could make 300,000 look like 300 million. That's a trick that I can't let go on a podcast such as this. The game is to be sold, niggas. Like that's just a Brooklyn mass. You know what I mean? It's a Jedi trick from the hood. So it wasn't like he was no Big Willie. He knew how to articulate that shit, and he said he said verbatim, I didn't tell you to sell crack. Hove, I did. He said, I sold crack so you wouldn't have to sell the shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what he said. So for people who were impressionable throughout the mixtape eras and the quote unquote gangster rap eras and the eras of hip hop in the 90s where they were being persuaded and they were being coerced or programmed to carry out a certain kind of lifestyle, to take penitentiary chances, to throw a few rocks, to to move some bricks, to move some weight, to chase that dream of being a Willie by a rapper who's clearly not selling drugs anymore, who's clearly not on the path of moving weight anymore, who's clearly not in the streets. Because if anybody's in the streets, you know that niggas they not in the streets like that. Dame Dash and them, they wasn't running around on some BMF shit. They wasn't moving mad weight, regardless of the picture that they were painting. These were businessmen. So throughout the years, I remember doing Blueprint 322 in 2009, and Blue Pill did an excellent breakdown about who Jay-Z or who Sean Carter was according to the geodetics, according to the gematria, according to his name, according to all kind of other ways of decoding who someone is. And in that lecture, he was pointing out who the potential of what that man had if he chose to become who he could become. So the evolution of Sean Carter has taken place since 2009 to where we find ourselves in 2019, where the conversation is no longer about selling crack. The conversation is no longer about I'm with my gangster crew and we running around shooting shit up. He doesn't even belong to the label called Rockefeller's Dissolved. It's no more. The new label is called Rock Nation. That label, if you want to put it into perspective, is the label that has some of the most illest conscious rappers or woke rappers in the industry. Let's go through it. One of the illest underground artists who would achieve mainstream fame as soon as the album drops is Jay Electronica, who signed to Rock Nation. Okay. Another artist who's considered to be a very ill woke artist, a very ill conscious artist, one of the top artists in the hip hop genre amongst his whole generation and others is J. Cole. No features. Okay. J. Cole is one of the premier artists on Rock Nation. Now, there's another artist who seems to not be of his right mind these days, but prior to when he kind of lost his mind, he was the top woke artist that ever came. And I'm not saying conscious, I say woke. He introduced all you woke niggas to a woke lifestyle, and his name is Kanye West. Okay, he signed to Rock Nation. Okay, and regardless of what people may say about his antics and whatnot, we're talking about the entertainment. Remember, Rock Nation is an entertainment. It is an entertainment company. It is not a record label. It is an entertainment company. Okay? So if somebody say, "Oh, I don't like J. Cole and J. Cole is whack," J. Cole, in my humble opinion, is very talented. You know what I mean? He ain't never did no goofy shit that I know of that would have me judging that man and whatnot. Um, I appreciate his growth and development. You know what I'm talking about? I think he's very intellectual and like, you know, dude is solid in my book. I mean, I don't know what standards a lot of people on the internet apply to other people who they never meet, don't know nothing of, only know them from the internet. That's real scary and weird, and that's not the way that you measure individuals. You should try to get to know people or get to know about people if you're even gonna start talking about people. Like if you really if you really listen to what I talk, like I don't really, if I don't know 1 degree, or if I don't know a person, or if there's not 1 degree of separation, I don't really got too much to say. That ain't none of my business. You know what I'm saying? That ain't none of my business. But if I know you, nigga, we're gonna talk about you. We're gonna break it down. Cause I'm a Scorpio, so we study everything. We're very meticulous. We study spirit. We ain't just studying your ego. We're studying all kind of. We're going deeper than DNA. So we get to know people. So going back to it, we were saying J. Cole, that nigga's lit, okay? Kanye West, you know, before Kim, lit, okay? Who knows? You know, he might come out with the Old Town Road remix. Him and Little Nas X may make a joint album and the shit goes platinum. I don't know, but what the future holds for Kanye, but I do know his contributions to woke music is unrivaled, right? That boy got classics. Um, and then we have Mr. 444 himself. Let's have this conversation. Ever since Watch the Throne, and I told people when Watch the Throne came out, I said, this is ironic what I'm hearing. You got Kanye West trying to sound more superficial and materialistic on this album and pompous, and then you got this dude trying to drop knowledge. Like he's trying to take the Kanye, the commercial woke route. Fast forward to where we're at right now. If you're gonna sit there and deny that this is a billionaire woke rapper, he's a woke street billionaire rapper. That nigga's woke. Jay-Z's woke, bro. He wasn't on that wave 10 years ago when we did Blueprint. That nigga wasn't talking like this. Did you see him? Have you heard him talk lately? That's not the Jay-Z that you knew 10 years ago. He killed them in ritual and video. He sacrificed that ego. He publicly sacrificed, you know, that persona, regardless of what we can indict him on, how foul he is and how he sold out to the Illuminati, the Baphomet symbol, the do what thou wilt shirt, all of these things that people will convict him of that, to be honest with you, mean nothing in the scheme of things. But at the end of the day, whether it's an act or whether he's playing a role that the Illuminati is typing out and his agent is sending to him and his handlers are making him do these things, he's going a route of philanthropy. He's going a route of social, he's a social justice warrior. Look, the 2 films that he produced, right? And this is not me giving you the Jay-Z, you know, let's all vote for Jay-Z. I'm giving the man his fair share because going back to what I said before, the name of the lecture is called American Gods. It could be an anti-God. It could be a demigod. In the TV show American Gods, they give you a bevy of gods. It's mad gods. But if that man called himself Jehovah, and he's working and building the blocks to achieve that which he said that he is, then, as a decoder and as a scholar, I'll be able to point that out and let you see what's taking place in real time so people could remove emotions from it. You got to understand some people are in their purpose and some people are not. So if a person is in their purpose and they're moving towards a purpose, if they say, yo, I'm going to be the first billionaire, and they move towards that, is that not, you know what I mean? Is that not worth saying that you are guarding? Is that not going to inspire millions of people who not who need inspiration? Like, we can't, as a people, we can't be so selfish and be like, oh nah, you niggas be watching Tony Robbins and them. You know what I'm talking about? Niggas be watching TD Jakes and be full blown conscious. Talking about I need an inspiration on a Sunday. But they'll hate on anybody else's inspiration story. They didn't like the Nipsey shit wasn't good enough for them until he died. They knew about Nipsey before that because he was on CBS News and all kind of shit. But until he became a martyr, then he became cool to certain people who were judging him in his living, waking life because it wasn't safe for puritanicals and people who always point fingers and try to put somebody in their fucking box of judgment. Whereas they can't look at themselves in the mirror. Here it goes. They former strippers trying to be conscious and whatnot. These niggas is ex-killers and whatnot in the nation. Or, you know what I'm talking about? These niggas is like ex-dope fiends on the way to Kemet, but they want to point fingers at Jay-Z or somebody else. How is it that you are allowed to grow and transform, but you can't recognize and appreciate the pendulum when it swings? The shit is going to swing right past you. So here it is. How could you measure a man if not? How could you measure anybody if not for them being able to complete the whole fucking the whole completion of self? So you have to see both sides of me. So you have to be able to experience both polarities of self. So you gotta see the piece of shit in Sean Carter in order to appreciate the motherfucking Jay-Z that you see before you. You have to see the piece of shit in a Fat Joe to appreciate Skinny Joe when he pops up and whatnot. You gotta appreciate, I don't know where the Fat Joe shit came from, but I'm just saying, you gotta, certain people start out a certain way, and throughout growth and development, throughout having a family, throughout getting your business together and changing up your circle of friends, throughout making the right investments and having the right financial advisors, throughout having the right inner circle. These are all life lessons. Throughout having the right inner circle, throughout having the right team working with you, manager, PR, day ones and whatnot, people that are not snakes, people that are not, you know, um, jealous and envious of, or people who are not afraid of success or intimidated by greatness. You know what I'm talking about? This is all these are life lessons. And if you miss out on it, then what can I say? This is not for you. Like I said earlier, this is cloth. And many other people will have their interpretations and go deeper and have different angles, and everybody's open to whatever interpretation that they want to see. But I choose in most conversations to look at the positive and to look at the teachable and utilize it as a teaching moment. I'm speaking about the fact that, you know, our culture in 2019, something that we control. I don't care about who's eating off of it or who's captured a wide market share of it. Nigga, I'm the culture. What are you talking about? Nobody controls me. So if you don't know that you are the culture, then you will fall into the mind state that somebody controls this shit. No, you control it. I'm the culture. I'm living, breathing the culture. So I could do with the culture that what thou wilt. I could mold it and shape it. I could turn it into $1 billion pursuit, $1 trillion pursuit. I could become whatever I want to because I live in America, and in America you could become a god. You don't understand this? You can't you don't you have not figured this out yet? You could use the culture to tap into either your priesthood, your godhood, or many other hoods. But we're going to focus on godhood. We're going to focus on godhood. We're going to focus on the fact that this culture that was erected in the Bronx of New York City, and there was a Jamaican, a man of Jamaican descent by the name of Kool Herc, and there were other people who played a hand in it. You understand? And they breathed life. Not them too. Thousands and hundreds and thousands of Latino and black youth in New York City, to be exact, and then all over America very fast. They breathe life into a culture that has grown to be a behemoth. And I'm not talking about rap or people that are making words rhyme. I'm speaking about the totality of the culture. I'm talking about fashion. I'm talking about the arts, the graffiti. I'm talking about whatever you create on your computer, your digital arts. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about your dance, the way that you move, the different moves that you come up with. Or I'm talking about all of the algorithms, the whole goddamn thing. I'm talking about the consciousness and the knowledge that comes from hip hop, that's given from a hip hop perspective. And Nas was giving that out. Wu Tang was giving that out. Brand Nubians was giving that out. KRS One was giving that out. It's called edutainment. They were giving you the information through rhyme. They were giving you the information through entertainment. They were giving it to you like like you wanted that shit. You know what I'm talking about? That's how you got it. So we lived through an era of godhood. It's called the 80s. It's called the golden era of hip hop, where you had rappers who had Asiatic names, righteous names. They were carrying themselves in a righteous manner. They were manifesting all kind of things. They were tapping in. They were tapping in to all kind of ancestral DNA. If you go and Google the X Clan, if you go and Google King Asiatic Nobody Equal, that was Big Daddy Kane. He was the Jay-Z before Jay-Z in Brooklyn. All right. He had the wave, he had the juice. You had Rakim Allah, and he was rolling with some of the toughest and roughest and top people in New York City. This is pre Central Park 5. Okay, because everything in New York changed after Central Park 5, and we're gonna talk about that real quick. Okay, so you had the Juice Crew, Marley Marl, you had Cool G Rap, Big Daddy Kane, Biz Markie, you know what I mean? They were lit. You know what I'm talking about? Then you had KRS One. He was dropping knowledge, but he was with the gangsters. You had Just Ice. He was dropping knowledge, but he was with the gangsters. American gangsters. We've had gangster phases. We celebrate our gangster. When our people were rising up in the 20s and the 30s, who do you think was holding them down? The gangsters. When they said that the gangsters, the Bumpy Johnsons of the world, used to bring bags of money to the temples and whatnot. We've been aligned with the underworld, especially when the underworld is organized, and especially when the underworld has social responsibility for their neighborhoods and things of that nature, community revolutions and progress and things of that nature. That's when things begin to flow the Jeff Fort type of way. You know what I'm talking about? Chief Malik and things of that nature. You know, social programs like what the Panthers were doing, feeding the babies, making sure that we utilizing muscle and power to make sure that we get programs enacted in the hood and make sure checks get cut and make sure people open up doors and don't close them in our faces. They respond and they respect power, okay? Because they want to, because they only respect you when they're in fear of you. And I'm talking about the Nordic ones, okay? I'm talking about the Nords. This is their mentality. They're a Roman people who only respect domination because they're the dominating, they're a dominating people. They come from a dominating race of people who use domination, sexual domination, mental domination, physical domination to subdue and to make people kneel. These are Romans that I'm talking about. These are also Germanic people who are known as the barbarians. Okay, this is in their nature. So they're not going to respect you if you don't put them on their knees. You know what I'm talking about? You gotta be on your alpha shit. You gotta stand up. You know, yeah, Conan the Barbarian type shit. You know, you gotta be a Moor. You have to be a Hannibal amongst the Romans. You gotta be a Carthaginian amongst the Romans. You gotta be Moorish when in Spain, my nigga. You know what I'm talking about? You niggas is acting Spaniard in Spain and Roman in Rome. How about it? That's not godhood. It's not American godhood. You only become an American god, Shadow Moon, when you go back to your aboriginal indigenous self. You have to get back to you. You gotta be. You can't obey two gods. You can't obey two gods. You have to just be comfortable in your black ass skin. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga, you gotta break the change. You have to own your masters. You gotta be a master of your universe. You have to own your masters. You have to own your streaming service. You have to own your spirits. You have to own your entertainment. You have to own all of these things in order to boss up to get to that Billy. The blueprint has already been written. Now all you gotta do is fade to black and then kingdom come. Okay? You gotta know how to work this thing. You gotta know how to work this thing. You come from a royal dynasty. You come from a royal dynasty. This is something that is your sovereign right. You have the right to be a billionaire. You have the right to break the code. You have a right to use the cheat code. You have the right to write your future into existence. You have the right to do that. You have the right to write your ass out of poverty. How about it? You know what I'm talking about? You got the right to write your monkey ass out of Marcy. You know what I'm talking about? If Joe Camel could do it, why you can't? You know what I'm talking about? You know how many niggas got pride in Brooklyn will not allow this nigga to be the only billionaire? This shit is about to get interesting. This is about to get interesting. I don't know about y'all. I don't know we did a roll call in the beginning of the show, and everybody is from areas and places and landmarks where they get it popping. You understand? And everybody understands the spell that was casted during the era of Jay-Z at its heights. Because I always reiterate, and I'm going to put it on record. I'm going to show it and prove it that the code, if you want to talk code, if you want to talk computer languages, if this is the matrix, if this is a holographic universe, if this is a quantum universe, if this is all is mental simulation, if this is the simulation, then somebody's programming it with an algorithm, a code. Somebody's using lines of code and they're programming the reality that we all live in, which happens to be a box, which happens to be somewhat of a box. You understand? It's a box within a box, 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 within a box. So many of us are trying to break out of that box. But we know that these boxes were created in the 90s during a quote unquote musical revolution where black youth were coming through in hip hop and not just disrupting it from a sonic point of view like what they were doing in the 80s through the perfection of the sonics, the perfection of the rhythm, the perfection of the cadence, the perfection of the storytelling through Slick Rick, the perfection of the bars through Rakim Allah, the perfection of the dance and the entertainment aspect and the performance by way of Big Daddy Kane and Heavy D and all of that, Salt and Pepper, the perfection of the divine feminine, the perfection of the divine goddess with Queen Latifah. Okay, this is the 80s that I'm talking about. This is the late 80s that I'm talking about. This is the golden era that I'm talking about. But when the 90s hit, the perfection of the Benjamins. Remember, it's all about the Benjamins is the anthem to that whole for that whole era. Okay? That's the era. It's all about the Benjamins. That could arguably be the biggest song of that motherfucking tunnel era. You know what I mean? Everything changes during during the tunnel era. It all changes. It all traverses. Jay Z is not necessarily. He's at the end of that. He's at the middle and towards the end of that era. He's not the beginning of that era. There was a stretch that Bad Boys had with Biggie Smalls, mixtape Biggie, and Tunnel motherfucking nightclub Biggie. One More Chance, uh, Get Money, uh, uh, the Biggie, Why Somebody Give Me Warning, Juicy, and a few other, Who Shot Ya, and a few other hits. And there wasn't no Jay Z in sight. You know what I'm talking about? He comes in the middle of this shit with, he comes on a, he comes with the Brooklyn's Finest. He starts buzzing with Brooklyn's Finest. Oh, Cash, yeah, Wu Tang with Cash Rules Everything Around Me. Jay is buzzing a little bit on the Clue tapes, but it's Nas, it's Biggie, and it's the Wu, right? It's Nas, Biggie, and like Method Man, and a few other people here and there, but that's when the era was at its apex. I don't think that there's no other wave that I could identify that's fucking with that wave right there. That wave set the trends that still reverberate to you niggas is running around wearing Gucci, Louis, and Fendi. Okay? Any other designer that you could come up with. Prior to that right there, they wasn't talking, they was wearing it. Only select people that was getting money and knew about the brands and the designers and whatnot, and that was part of their whole thing. They was into that. But I'm talking about on a mass scale with niggas in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and other places where it's mass adopted, nigga. That shit started right in there, right in the Tunnel nightclub. That it started in the Arc in Brooklyn. It started in Biltmore Ballroom. It started in the hood with the low lives and Bed-Stuy and St. John's and all of that. That's a fact. That is a factory. There's no denying that. You in Atlanta, you in Oakland, you in Milwaukee, no offense, but that's not what y'all was doing. That shit comes out of New York. That's New York nightclub. I came to Atlanta in 97 and they wasn't doing that. Facts. Factory, Factsporilla, Facsimile, Fax Dominoes. You know what I'm talking about? Factose intolerant, my nigga. All of that. Nigga, that's what happened. The culture was transported from out of the clubs, the Mirage, the motherfucking Tunnel, Envy, you name it. It was a wave. The nightclub that they shot up with Puffy and them, right there on Times Square. The what was that? What was the club that Sean got that Sean shot up? That club was popping. We was there that night. We was there that night with Jackie. That's on guard. Nigga, where was you? We was there that night. So we know where the code got written at. So we know how to work that shit and how to unwrite the code because you got to work on the people who wrote the code. Not shooting all over the place. You go to the head of the snake. When you influence the influencers, they do the dirty work for you. They do the dirty work. All you gotta do is influence the influencers. So you mean to tell me that you haven't seen the influencers get influenced in the last 10 years to whereas now these niggas is vegan verb? And then you're gonna try to give the white man credit again. Oh, They're just doing that for white people because white people told him to be vegan, and white people told him to be conscious and woke, and white people told him to be a social justice warrior, and white people told him to do a documentary on Khalif Browder, and white people told him to do something on Trayvon Martin, and white people told him to do the prison reform, and white people told him to do all of that because white people could. No, nigga, you niggas is obsessed with white people. Why niggas can't be doing shit on their own fruition? I don't get it. Why people can't just be moving on their own? Why they can't tap into magnetic, why they can't be moving with the serpents? That's impossible. You give white people so much credit. You niggas don't credit. You don't check their credit. It's just 850 with all of them for y'all. These niggas is just 850 with you. You give white people all the credit. That shit is disgusting. And it speaks of an inferiority complex. You gotta really understand the semantics behind you willingly saying that you identify with somebody being supreme. I promise you, and this is on facts, they were not talking like that 10 years ago. In the conscious community, the master teachers do not say white supremacy the way that these dudes say it these days. They were not giving that shit so much power. It was not fear attached to the fucking title, bro. These new teachers and the way that they thrown around supremacy, you would think that these niggas was inferior, or that they were low key saying, yo, nigga, because you can't obey two masters. If white people are superior, nigga, you're inferior by proxy, nigga, just by motherfucking, just by default. And then you not having no conversations on how to get on your supreme shit. You not having no active, you're not doing nothing active to get on some supreme level shit. Like, you niggas is not interested in leveling up. It's scary to me. It's scary to me. And we on some God shit in Black America. Niggas is getting crowned. Niggas is moving into godhood, bro. Are you serious? You don't gotta rap to be a god. You don't gotta be a rapper. It doesn't just come through that. But goddamn it, that culture is a divination system. Why is my screen frozen? Are you serious? They did this again? They hit me with the hand solo, right? And froze me again. They keep freezing me on some hand solo shit, right? They hitting, my new name is Frozen. You know what I'm saying? You might as well break out the tell your daughter to get the Disney toy and hit me with the Frozen theme music. All right? Facts dominoes. Do I want to start over?